Hello, my name is Jill Botticelli. I'm the Library Director for the Earl K. Oldham Library here on the campus of Arlington Baptist College. Today I'm going to talk to you about plagiarism and citation. Let's begin. We're going to start by talking about academic integrity or honesty. And to begin with, we're going to look at Arlington Baptist College's mission statement. Our mission statement says, Arlington Baptist College endeavors to prepare men and women for Christian life and ministries, both lay and professional, through studies in Bible, general education, church vocations, and practical service, integrating faith and learning in the context of a Christian worldview. We need to keep in mind that while we're studying at Arlington Baptist College, we're not only learning academically, but we're also integrating our faith into this process. The Bible says in Colossians 3:23 and 24, And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. Remember that while we're studying here at the college, that we need to study as unto the Lord, and that includes having a good testimony of our academic integrity. Let's also take a look at what the Arlington Baptist College Student Handbook says about academic honesty. It says all students are expected to understand the concept of academic honesty. Academic dishonesty includes but is not limited to the following: turning in work done by another person as if it was your personal effort, copying another student's homework, paper, test, or assignment, copying from a source, books, internet, etc., and not giving credit to the source, working together with one or more persons on an assignment that is intended to be done by you alone, copying or attempting to copy answers from the test of another student, using notes, materials, or assistance on a test when the instructor has not given clear permission for their use, communicating with another student during a test, quiz, or exam, assisting or allowing someone to copy your work without the instructor's clear permission to do so. Plagiarism is an area of academic honesty that needs a closer look. So what is plagiarism? Dictionary.com defines plagiarism as an act or instance of using or closely imitating the language and thoughts of another author without authorization, and the representation of that author's work as one's own, as by not crediting the original source. A very simple definition of plagiarism is theft. It's taking something that isn't yours and turning it in as yours. And because plagiarism is a form of theft, there are some serious consequences. Some of the consequences could be an F on your paper, you could fail your class, be dismissed from school and fail to graduate, you can have your degree revoked, you might have to go to court, you can ruin your future job prospects, and there's also shame and embarrassment. Plagiarism is something that we take very seriously. Let's look at some practical examples of what is and isn't plagiarism to get a clearer view. This example is our original source. It is a quote from a journal article written by J.M. Burkhart in 1998. This excerpt says, Library literature offers wide-spectrum coverage on planning and moving libraries. Authors offer visions of what might be practical implementation suggestions and/or explicit instructions for specific situations. Let's look at our first example. We can see that whoever has written this paper has used the original source word for word. However, they haven't put any quotation marks and they've not given any citation whatsoever to give credit to the original author, which is Burkhart. So this is an example of plagiarism. You can't copy word for word without giving attribution to the original author. Let's look at the second example. We can see that the original source has been copied word for word again, but this time we have quotation marks surrounding the excerpt, and we have a citation at the end attributing these words to the author, Burkhart. This is an example of a direct quotation, and it's perfectly acceptable and is not plagiarism. Note that the citation is always at the end of the material you are taking from the original source. Next, let's look at example 3. Let's read what this one says. It says, library literature offers much information on planning and moving libraries. Authors offered their thoughts on what might be practical implementation suggestions or explicit instructions for specific situations. You can see that this is almost word for word the original source, but the student has made some minor changes. For example, the original source says, library literature offers wide spectrum coverage on planning and moving libraries. And the example says, library literature offers much information on planning and moving libraries. Even though example 3 has a citation at the end of it, this is plagiarism because it's too close to the original. You can't just change a word or two and then cite it. In this case, a direct quotation with quotation marks and a citation would be the better option. We just saw in example 3 an example of an improperly paraphrased quotation. Paraphrasing is when the original thought is reworded into your own words. Example 4 is a properly paraphrased quotation. Let's take a look at it. It says, moving into a new library takes much planning and forethought. The literature is full of articles of practical and theoretical advice regarding this topic. Each situation is different and must be handled according to the specifics of the location. This example has been sufficiently reworded from the original thought. Notice that it's still cited to Burckhardt because this was Burckhardt's idea in the first place. But this is an example of a paraphrase and is not plagiarism and is acceptable. To prevent plagiarism, there are several things we can do. First off, we need to make sure that we cite all the resources that we've used, no matter how insignificant they may seem. Remember, just because you forget to cite something, it's still plagiarism and still has the consequences that we talked about earlier. One of the tools we can use to help us is the when to cite diagram. This is included in your lesson and is also provided on your portal. Let's take a look at it. First, we want to think, did you think of it? If it was your original idea and you came up with it all on your own, then you don't need to cite. But if you're borrowing something from someone else, you need to cite it. Is it common knowledge? If it's not common knowledge, you need to cite it. Let's look at the second half of the diagram. Is this another person's words? If they are, you need to cite it. Or another's ideas. Again, you need to cite it. The only time you don't need to cite is when it's completely your own words and your own thought. We just mentioned common knowledge in the when to cite diagram. So what is common knowledge? Let's take a look. You don't have to cite some things because they're common knowledge and are not considered the work of any particular person. Here's some examples of common knowledge. There are 4 seasons in the year. There are 365 days in a year. The U.S. entered World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. How can you tell if something is common knowledge? Well, common knowledge is information that the majority of people either know or can find in a number of sources. Common knowledge is factual information that is beyond dispute. If you're not sure whether something is common knowledge or not, go ahead and provide a reference for it. Let's review again the ways that you can prevent plagiarism. Cite all resources used. Use the when to cite diagram. Consult citation tools for proper citation. And you can also check your work through a site like www.paperrater.com. This is a great site to use when writing a paper. You can simply copy and paste the text of your work into the website, and it'll do a grammar check, a spell check. It also has a plagiarism detector, so I encourage you to check it out. I hope you will find this instructional video beneficial for your studies here at Arlington Baptist College. Again, if you need any help whatsoever, feel free to contact us at the Earl K. Oldham Library. Our number is 817-461-8741. We're at extension 127, or you can email us at helpdesk@arlingtonbaptistcollege.edu. Thank you.